Hello, welcome to Friday Multilingual News. I'm your host, Rick Nostick. Before we get started, I would just like to let you know, as a disclaimer, that this is not a regular run-of-the-mill news broadcast like you are used to from the major networks. Instead, following the local forecast, which I will be delivering in English, we will be consulting a wheel of chance for the next 3 stories. Now, the first story is a local interest piece. The second story is a North American piece. And the third story, while it is a US story, is of global importance, and that's why today we're delivering it in the international news category. Okay? But first, local news. We'll turn it over to Rick Nostick. Yes, thank you, Rick. Hi there. The weather, as you can see, is a beautiful, cloudy, majestically humid day here in Welland, Ontario. And it is likely to remain this way at 26 degrees with a real feel of 9,000, thank you to humidity, right up until next Saturday. So if you have any plans, make sure you bring an extra change of clothing because you're going to be soaking wet within the first 5 minutes. And should his sun come out, make sure you're wearing at least 120 degree protection, okay? SPF 5000, because you're going to burn. And when it doesn't burn, it's going to trickle like the devil is pissing on you. Anyways, that is the forecast. As you can see. All right, thank you, Rick. Now, let's consult the wheel for our first story of the evening. Flash flooding in Ontario. Communities across southern Ontario are continuing to recover after another round of severe storms triggered widespread flooding, forcing dramatic water rescues and prompting officials to warn residents to stay away from fast-moving waterways. Emergency crews responded to multiple calls as heavy rain overwhelmed creeks, rivers, and stormwater systems. Several people had to be rescued after becoming trapped by rapidly rising water, highlighting just how quickly conditions can turn dangerous during flash flooding. The flooding comes after parts of the region were already saturated by previous storms, leaving the ground unable to absorb more rainfall. In some communities, more than 100 millimeters of rain fell in a short period, with localized totals even higher. Roads were flooded, basements filled with water, and some neighborhoods were left dealing with significant property damage. Municipal officials say emergency crews worked around the clock responding to calls for stranded motorists, flooded homes, and water rescues. The latest flooding is part of a pattern of increasing intense rainfall events affecting southern Ontario. Officials are urging people to avoid flooded roads, keep children and pets away from rivers and creeks, and never attempt to drive through standing water. For many affected residents, the focus now shifts from rescue to recovery as cleanup efforts continue and damage assessments get underway. Let's consult the wheel for our second story of the evening. Water restrictions in Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico is imposing strict water rationing across San Juan and several surrounding municipalities as worsening drought grips the U.S. territory, leaving thousands of residents without running water for up to 48 hours at a time. Officials say the rotating shutdowns are necessary to preserve dwindling water supply, with the first restrictions taking effect this week. More than 180,000 will be affected during the initial phase. Water service is expected to alternate between neighborhoods while priority is given to hospitals, nursing homes, and other critical facilities using water trucks. Residents are also advised to boil water once service returns and to conserve as much as possible. Governor Jennifer Gonzalez has acknowledged that aging infrastructure is compounding the problem, and officials have given no word as to when rationing will end, warning that it depends entirely on rainfall and reservoir levels. For many residents, these restrictions add to long-standing concerns over Puerto Rico's fragile infrastructure. Some communities have already faced recurring water shortages for months, and community leaders say that the latest measures underscore the need for long-term investments in the island's water supply system. Authorities are urging residents to use water only for essential purposes as Puerto Rico navigates one of its worst severe droughts in recent years, with officials warning the situation could worsen before meaningful relief arrives. And now, let's consult the wheel again for our cover story this evening.
Pentagon entwickelt neue Atomwaffenstrategie für den Krieg mit Russland und China. Das Pentagon entwirft Berichten zufolge eine neue Nuclear Strategy, die im Falle eines Konflikts mit Russland oder China mehr Wert auf den möglichen Einsatz von Kernwaffen mit kürzerer Reichweite oder taktischen Waffen legen würde. Die Geheimüberprüfung markiert eine der bedeutendsten Nobelwerkzeuge der US-Atompolitik seit Jahrhunderten. Laut Beamten, die mit der Überprüfung vertraut sind, besteht das Ziel darin, den US-Firmen eine breitere Palette von Optionen zu bieten, wenn ein konventioneller Krieg zu eskalieren beginnt, waren die Gegner davon abhalten, zu glauben, dass sie begrenzte Atomwaffen einsetzen konnten, um eine Reaktion zu provozieren. Befürworter argumentieren, dass die Ausweitung dieser Optionen die Abschreckung verstärken konnte, in der Amerikas Reaktion flexionär ist. Die Überprüfung erfolgt inmitten wachsender Bedenken hinsichtlich des globalen Sicherheitsumfelds. Die Beziehungen zwischen Washington, Moskau und Peking blieben angespannt und der letzte verbliebene Vertrag zwischen der USA und Russland aus der strategischen Rüstungskontrolle ist Anfang dieses Jahres ohne Ersatz ausgelaufen. Gleichzeitig sagen US-Beamte, dass China sein nukleares Arsenal weiterhin schnell ausbaut und modernisiert, während Russland seit dem Krieg um der Ukraine eine Durchsetzung für Nuklearhaltung eingenommen hat. Kritiker warnen jedoch davor, dass eine starke Betonung taktischer Atomwaffen das Risiko einer Fehleinschätzung während einer Krise erhöhen konnte. Sie argumentieren, dass es extrem schwierig wird, eine weitere Eskalation zu verhindern, sobald eine Atomwaffe eingesetzt wird und abhängig von ihrer Größe oder Reichweite. Im Moment bleibt die Pentagon-Überprüfung geheim und wird noch entwickelt. Aber die Berichterstattung unterstreicht, wie dramatisch sich die globale Strategie Landschaft verändert hat, wobei sich die US wird eng und Pläne Südhinnen darauf konzentrieren, sich auf die Möglichkeit gleichzeitiger Hier asfalt Erogan, was ze bereden, die Woche van Russland als 8 van China als geheim.